There was a time when Hollywood could turn poison into a status symbol with nothing more than a flattering camera angle. A cigarette held between two fingers was once promoted as a sign of glamour, power, and freedom. But many stars admired by the public paid for it with their voices, hearts, lungs, and even their lives. The silver smoke seen on screen did not disappear when the director yelled "cut." It followed actors into dressing rooms, writing rooms, bedrooms, and hospitals. Some smoked 4 packs a day, some went beyond 100 cigarettes. One legend was even reported to have consumed as many as 7 packs of unfiltered cigarettes within 24 hours. Some of the names on this list directly advertised cigarettes. Some turned them into inseparable props. Some realized the truth only when nothing could be done to save them. And one left behind a final warning that was not broadcast until after his death. For decades, these stories were hidden beneath Hollywood's glamour. If you want me to explore any more movies, TV shows, or Hollywood secrets, just comment right below. I'm Ryan, please like and subscribe to the channel, and let's start exploring the main content of this video together. Rod Serling. Rod Serling could take audiences into the most terrifying dimensions, but the greatest darkness in his life existed inside his own mind. The creator of The Twilight Zone was celebrated as a creative genius blessed with fame, respect, and a rare gift for storytelling. Yet success could not erase the insecurity that constantly followed him. The louder the applause became, the more intense his fear of failure seemed to grow. After The Twilight Zone ended, Serling worried that he would never create another work with the same level of influence. Every new project felt like a trial of his talent. To cope with the pressure, Serling became increasingly dependent on alcohol and cigarettes, at one point smoking around 4 packs a day. He continued writing, acting, and working relentlessly, but he could not escape the shadow of the masterpiece he had created himself. Years of smoking and drinking caused severe damage to Serling's body. In 1975, a blocked artery forced him to undergo bypass surgery, but his body was no longer strong enough to endure it. Rod Serling died during the operation at only 50 years old. The man who had warned America about invisible dangers through fictional stories ultimately left behind a very real warning. Talent can create new worlds, but it cannot negotiate with damage that has been silently accumulating inside the body. Jackie Gleason. While Rod Serling showed that anxiety could hide behind a brilliant mind, Jackie Gleason proved that the loudest laughter sometimes came from a man living almost completely out of control. On screen, his role as Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners made him an American comedy icon. His massive build, booming voice, and powerful energy allowed Gleason to command everyone's attention whenever he appeared. But behind the nickname The Great One was an extreme lifestyle. His weight often fluctuated between approximately 230 and 330 pounds, reflecting eating habits that seemed to have almost no limits. Gleason was said to be capable of eating several meals in one sitting and then finishing with an entire gallon of ice cream. He also regularly drank scotch on the rocks and was reportedly smoking as many as 5 packs of cigarettes a day. His body was forced to battle excessive weight, hard liquor, overeating, and constant tobacco smoke all at once. As he grew older, movement became more difficult, and Gleason's health clearly deteriorated. He died at 71 from colon cancer. Although the disease is not considered a direct consequence of smoking, his excessive lifestyle still cast a shadow over his final years. Gleason made America laugh through exaggeration, but ironically, his own life also became a series of dangerous excesses. Too much food, too much alcohol, and too many cigarettes. Richard Burton. Even 5 packs a day was not the most shocking number. In a 1977 interview, Richard Burton admitted that he smoked between 60 and 100 cigarettes every day. His younger brother later claimed that Burton's actual consumption was often at least 100 cigarettes. This was not a Hollywood rumor, but clear evidence of a severe dependency where one cigarette had barely gone out before another seemed ready to be lit. Burton possessed one of the most powerful voices in theater and film. He had the talent, fame, and charisma to dominate any room. However, his private life was every bit as intense as his performances on screen. Alcohol, turbulent relationships, and cigarettes created the rugged image that the press often romanticized. But to the human body, this was not the passion of a star. It was damage being repeated every day. What made it frightening was not only the number of cigarettes, but also the way this behavior was once treated as a symbol of masculinity, power, and worldly experience. Audiences saw Burton holding a cigarette and thought of attraction, but few understood how completely nicotine controlled his daily schedule. Burton could make everyone believe that he commanded the room, but a man who needed dozens of cigarettes each day was actually being controlled by an addictive substance hour after hour. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was a woman who could make an opponent lose their composure with a single look. While Richard Burton associated cigarettes with aggressive masculinity, Davis turned smoke into a symbol of sharpness and defiance. Known as the Queen of Warner Brothers, she was one of the most respected actresses of her generation, winning 2 Academy Awards and becoming the first performer to receive 5 consecutive acting nominations. Although she smoked in only about 1/4 of her films and never officially promoted a particular brand, the image of Davis with a cigarette remains almost inseparable from the public's memory of her. She always insisted that smoking on screen had to look authentic, but her real-life dependency was far more serious. Davis reportedly smoked around 4 packs of Vanguard cigarettes every day and once said that she could not stand going more than 10 minutes without lighting another one. She even smoked in waiting rooms and while sitting in the dentist's chair, reflecting an era when tobacco smoke was present almost everywhere. Bette Davis lived to the age of 81 and died from breast cancer, not a disease directly determined to have been caused by cigarettes. However, she reportedly continued smoking nearly 100 cigarettes a day until the final years of her life. Davis's case reminds us that living a long life does not make a dangerous habit safe. Every body responds to damage differently, and no one is guaranteed to escape the consequences. Humphrey Bogart. Bette Davis made smoke look like an act of defiance, while Humphrey Bogart turned it into the private language of a hardened and experienced man. By narrowing his eyes, lowering his voice, and allowing a cigarette to burn between his fingers, he became a symbol of Hollywood masculinity. Millions of viewers did not simply follow Bogart's characters, they gradually began associating cigarettes with strength, mystery, and manly confidence. Bogart smoked around 2 packs a day and was also known for drinking heavily. His habit of smoking on screen originally came from his desire to make long stretches of dialogue more visually interesting. Every time he raised a cigarette to his lips, it created a pause while the smoke made his gaze more difficult to read. The gesture was so effective that cigarettes followed Bogart through countless films and became an inseparable part of his image. In real life, his coughing became increasingly frequent, but Bogart continued delaying a medical examination. In 1956, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer after years of smoking. The cigarette that had once made him appear invulnerable eventually became associated with the collapse of his own body. Bogart did not intentionally harm his audience, but his image helped turn an addictive product into an attractive accessory for the adult man. John Wayne. While Humphrey Bogart made cigarettes look cold and mysterious, John Wayne wrapped them in the image of American heroism. With his towering build, tough manner, and more than 170 films, most of them westerns, Wayne became the model of the cowboy and soldier who never backed down. But behind that powerful image was a man who had smoked continuously since high school and frequently struggled with his weight, physical fitness, and alcohol. During the 1950s, Wayne appeared in advertisements for Camel, directly helping associate cigarettes with the image of the unbreakable American man. Some reports claimed that at the most extreme point of his habit, he could smoke as many as 7 packs of unfiltered Camels a day, the equivalent of around 140 cigarettes. His drinking also affected his work, causing some directors to try to finish important scenes before noon when his temper and self-control had not yet been affected too severely. In 1964, Wayne underwent surgery to remove most of his left lung after suffering tobacco-related damage. 15 years later, he died at 72 from complications of stomach cancer. John Wayne may have won most of his gunfights on screen, but in real life, there was no final showdown with nicotine. Fame could not restore a lung that had already been destroyed. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy did not need showmanship to dominate the screen. His acting was so natural that audiences felt as though they were watching a real person. Yet behind that calm exterior was a long battle with alcohol, cigarettes, pills, and weight. These habits accumulated over many years until he entered his 60s and his body could no longer conceal the consequences. On July 21, 1963, Tracy was rushed to the hospital after suffering a severe episode of shortness of breath. In July 1965, he was diagnosed with hypertensive heart disease. His health continued to decline through multiple life-threatening episodes, leaving the actor who had once commanded countless film sets increasingly confined within his own home and weakened body. During his final days, Katharine Hepburn remained by Tracy's side and cared for him. Her presence could not reverse the damage that had already developed in his heart and lungs, but it gave him a sense of peace that fame, alcohol, and cigarettes had never provided. Sometimes when medicine cannot recover the years that have been lost, another person's care can still make the pain feel less lonely. Sammy Davis Jr. While Spencer Tracy smoked quietly, Sammy Davis Jr. brought the cigarette directly onto the stage. As part of the Rat Pack's carefree image, alcohol, romantic affairs, and tobacco smoke became symbols of a freewheeling lifestyle. But while the whiskey was sometimes only apple juice used for the performance, Sammy's cigarettes were completely real, and he turned them into part of his act. Sammy would often take a drag in the middle of a song and then exhale the smoke as he began the next note. The gesture looked smooth and daring, but the hot smoke passed directly over the delicate tissues required to produce his singing voice. Nat King Cole once warned him that the habit could damage his vocal cords, but Sammy continued, possibly because of his dependency or because the image had become too deeply connected to his performance style. By the 1980s, Sammy began experiencing serious problems with his voice. A specialist discovered inflamed nodules on his vocal cords and believed that smoking while singing had contributed to the damage. It was a bitter contradiction. Sammy used cigarettes to make his performances more appealing, but they harmed the variability that had brought him onto the stage. Something that creates a cool image for a few seconds can take away a sound that required an entire lifetime to develop. Errol Flynn. While the Rat Pack lived wildly, Errol Flynn took recklessness to an even darker level. In the late 1930s, films such as The Adventures of Robin Hood turned him into the model of the handsome, daring, and fearless hero. But away from the screen, Flynn descended into alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, physical fights, and increasingly serious scandals. The house he once shared with David Niven was even nicknamed Cirrhosis by the Sea, a bitter joke about their body-destroying lifestyle. Flynn always seemed to need danger in order to feel alive. He and director John Huston once fought bare-knuckle boxing matches at parties, and when alcohol was banned from film sets, Flynn was reportedly known to inject vodka into oranges so he could secretly bring it with him. In 1942, he faced serious legal accusations involving underage girls. Although he was acquitted, public suspicion remained, and his career and image as a romantic hero never completely recovered. By the end of the 1940s, Flynn's health had clearly deteriorated. At 50 years old, he traveled to Vancouver to sell his yacht Zaka because of financial difficulties, then died following a massive heart attack. An autopsy revealed severe liver damage, and his body resembled that of a man around 75 years old. Flynn was only 50, but years of abuse had aged his body by nearly a quarter of a century. Yul Brynner. Errol Flynn died without the opportunity to leave behind a final warning. But Yul Brynner was different. With his shaved head, direct gaze, and commanding voice, he became one of the most distinctive figures in Broadway and Hollywood. Brynner appeared powerful and almost impossible to defeat, but behind that image was a habit of smoking around 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Years of exposure to tobacco smoke eventually led to lung cancer. When Brynner learned that he did not have much time left, he agreed to record an anti-smoking message for the American Cancer Society, prepared for broadcast after his death. In footage taken from an appearance on Good Morning America, His voice had become hoarse and weaker than before, but his warning remained completely clear. "Don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke." The message aired after Brynner's death, making viewers feel as though he were speaking directly from his own tragedy. He was no longer talking like a star building an image, but like a human being who understood that he was about to lose everything because of a habit that had once been treated far too casually. Brynner could not change his past, but he used his final days to try to prevent others from following the same path. Clark Gable. Yul Brynner once appeared invincible, while Clark Gable was celebrated as the King of Hollywood. With his confidence and distinctive charisma, he made the role of Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind seem as though it had been created specifically for him. Gable received 3 Academy Award nominations and won the Oscar for It Happened One Night, becoming one of the most powerful stars of his era. In 1942, while at the height of his fame, Gable joined the United States Army Air Forces. He commanded a motion picture unit, participated in 5 combat missions aboard B-17 aircraft as an observer and gunner, and received several military decorations. When he left the service, he held the rank of major. Gable truly placed his life in danger rather than merely portraying a hero on screen. However, after surviving the war, Gable continued silently attacking his own body with cigarettes. For more than 30 years, he smoked approximately 3 packs of unfiltered cigarettes a day, not including cigars and pipes. Tobacco smoke was not simply a prop appearing in a few film scenes. It had become a constant part of the life of the man Hollywood called its king. On November 16, 1960, Clark Gable died in Los Angeles after suffering his 4th heart attack. Although his heart had already sent several warnings, decades of smoking and excessive living had created a burden that could not be reversed. His fame remains, but his ending reveals a cold truth. Power on screen does not provide power over the human body. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn may be the clearest example of how Hollywood once wrapped a dangerous habit in almost perfect beauty. When she held the long cigarette holder in Breakfast at Tiffany's, tobacco smoke became associated with elegance and sophistication. Through Roman Holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and My Fair Lady, Audrey became an icon of film and fashion through her gentle appearance, subtle smile, and effortless manner. Yet Audrey was reportedly a heavy smoker throughout most of her adult life, consuming approximately 2 to 3 packs a day, according to some sources. That number creates a striking contrast with the delicate, private, and compassionate image the public loved. Nicotine does not only reach loud, scandalous stars who live excessively, it can also control people who are viewed as calm and well-balanced. Audrey survived the years of war, built a legendary career, and later earned enormous respect for her humanitarian work. Her life was far deeper than the black dresses and famous fashion images associated with her name. However, cigarettes remained a dark part of that story, accompanying professional pressure and private struggles that the public did not always see. The story does not claim that smoking caused Audrey Hepburn's death, but Hollywood placed cigarettes in her hands, surrounded them with pearls, high fashion, and perfect lighting, turning a dangerous object into a symbol of elegance. Many people may forget the cigarette brand, but they still remember the long holder in Holly Golightly's hand. That is why these old images need to be viewed again with more alert and critical eyes. I do not believe we should look back at these stars with simple judgment. Nicotine addiction is a genuine form of dependency, and many of them lived during an era when the dangers of smoking were minimized, hidden, or directly distorted by advertising. Tobacco companies once used doctors, athletes, cowboys, and movie stars to make their products appear trustworthy. In that environment, an actor who smoked was not simply making a personal choice. They were also surrounded by an entire system that made money by turning dependency into style. The greatest lesson is not simply to avoid smoking. It is also not to allow the image of a celebrity to replace the truth. A camera can choose a flattering angle. Lighting can conceal exhaustion. A cigarette can be used to create an attitude, but the body still absorbs the same poisons regardless of who is holding it. Those who do not smoke should remain firm in that decision. Do not start because of stress, social pressure, or because an image in a movie makes it appear mature. Dependency rarely arrives with a dramatic announcement. It begins with the thought that one cigarette will not make a difference. These old stories also remind us to remain cautious about any product sold through style rather than transparency. When an industry needs celebrities to make something appear harmless, the most important question is always which part of the truth is being hidden outside the frame. Hollywood gave the world immortal films, but it also helped create dangerous myths about cigarettes, alcohol, and self-destructive lifestyles. We can love the classics without repeating the choices that harmed the people who created them. Please hit like, subscribe to Ryan's Hollywood Uncovered, and turn on notifications so you do not miss more secrets, tragedies, and scandals from classic Hollywood. Many more stories hidden beneath the studio lights are waiting for us to uncover together. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Take better care of your body than many legends once did, because health is not something that can return in another scene. I'll see you in the next video where we will continue stepping through the glamorous doorway to examine the truth behind Hollywood.